Hello, and welcome to my channel. What you are about to watch is the story of how my Kenshi character, Vagabond, went from being a nobody drifter with a legendary sword that she lost on day 2 to a mysterious desert ninja who toppled the United Cities. It also represents my growth as a creator, as I didn't really know when I started what the series was going to look like or sound like. It begins as gameplay commentary and turns into a narrative spaghetti western about ninjas who overthrow governments. So if you're into any of that, this just might be your thing. If you're familiar with the series, or just discovering Vagabond for the first time, I hope you enjoy this compilation of my episodic series. Stay tuned till the end for a special look at what Season 2 will bring to the table. Now let's begin. We're there. Now anything else is just extra. Oh shit. Hello there, friends. Today I'm going to be playing Kenshi. As you can see, this is something that I haven't played on my channel before, but I want to kind of switch up what I'm doing. But for now, let's just get started on a new game of Kenshi. And I want to play, yes, the Holy Sword. So in this one, you're a wanted criminal. You're wanted by the Holy Nation and the United Cities, but you've got one thing going for you, and that's that you found a legendary sword. Okay, we're gonna be Vagabond. I like the Kenshi names. I don't know, I think they're pretty cool. As you can see, this is not a base game hair. I do have some hair mods, but I think I want to make her look a little rougher, not so polished. Part of, I think, the charm of Kenshi is that it's a little ugly. I think this one's good. Since she's a wanted criminal, as you can see by the Holy Nation in the United Cities, my sort of headcanon about this is that she is, she frees the slaves. So here she is, she's in the hub. I want to join the Shinobi Thieves, but we need 10,000 cats to do that. So I think the move for right now is to go to Squin. We'll break and enter into like the traveler's shop so we can get a backpack and also steal some food and stuff. My first base I set up over here on this corner. Well, like, it was a little farther because it has to be, like, just out of the city. I think what we do is we go into the bar. We go back here. And we level up sneaking. In my last playthrough, there wasn't a fence here. It doesn't really look like there is again. Rook is there, and she's a free companion. There's also another free companion who is an ex-slave in the hub. So I think whenever I do want to build a squad, I'll probably grab her just for the headcanon, you know? And then maybe end game goal is like to build a whole like army of escaped slaves and just take down the Holy Nation and the United Cities. I do have mods installed besides just the hair mod. Like I have the Menders faction, which I think is like super helpful, and again also feels kind of like cheating, but it's just a chance, right? So they're just a faction of healers. So like if you're knocked out somewhere in the middle of the desert or the wilderness or something, they'll stumble upon you and just heal you. Now it's nighttime. I think the shops should be closed now, so maybe we'll just sneak across town over here to the Traveler's store. Yeah, normally I record gameplay and I edit it all and then I do voiceover afterwards, and I normally don't play games like Kenshi. Alright. Let's see what all we got in here. We need to steal food. First aid kits would be good. First of all, we need to go over here and get like a backpack. Oh, I didn't realize there are Thieves backpacks. We'll take this one right now. Oh, no. Try again. Well, the books are good to sell. Okay. I didn't realize these were worth so much. I need food. There's no food here. Sleeping bag could be good. We still don't have hats. Maybe we'll check the bar over here and see if there's a fence, but to be honest, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if I can offload stolen items to a fence unless I'm part of the Shinobi Thieves. I'm not really sure how it works just yet. Oh, here's the menders. You see these guys? And you always know it's them because they carry the green light with them. I wonder... So it looks like everything's at 47%. Let's see. Haha. Oh my god. Oh, got caught selling a stolen item. Are they gonna come arrest me? I don't think so. Man, what's... Oh, but now I can't sell to him. But that's okay, look. We're almost there. We got 7,300 cat. Let's go sell to the shopkeeper. Maybe he'll take a couple more of the skeleton kit. And, we got a little bit better chance. Aha. Oh my god, we're so close. We're there. Now anything else is just extra. Oh shit, oh shit. Oh no, I'm gonna beat Vagabond's ass. You know what? Block. You're just gonna get fucked up. That's okay. The guards will come take her, and they'll heal her, and she'll do some time. Oh. She'll get tossed up in the air. Oh no, how can they heal her if she's stuck up in the air? Menders, help me. Oh, there we go. The guard got me. Alright, we'll do some hard time. Get healed up a little bit. Our bounty's 1,000 here. We got 20 hours. It's okay. And we could pick the lock. But then getting out of here is gonna be really tricky because there's guards on all gates. We'll wait it out right now. Some training, I think. Anyway, we're out of here. Let's go back to the hub so we can join the Shinobi Thieves. I'm getting really lucky that I'm not getting ambushed by bandits or anything, and I really shouldn't have said anything because as soon as you acknowledge your luck, it's like taken from you. We have to talk to these guys. You went in on the Shinobi, eh? Want to join the Shinobi Thieves. Yep, sign me up. Alright, let's go inside and here's the fence and we'll unload the rest of our stuff to him. I think the ninja rags are actually a little bit better than this black shirt because it affects more skills. There's a lot of things to compare it to though. If there's a way to like hold both of these up to compare at the same time, please let me know. Oh, you know what though? I will sell him my backpack and get a bigger one. Is it the biggest one? Yeah. Swamp ninja mask. Yeah, I think that's what we'll take. We'll take these good boots just because we have the money for it right now. Okay. She looks like a bug. Fucking sweet. Now we a thief. What else can we do here? We could probably train on our sword a little bit to... Oh, we can train lockpicking. Yeah. Definitely gonna need to get some food, but let's train with our sword for... My sword. My sword is in Squin. I didn't even fucking notice. Alright. New plan. Going back to Squin. That's the entrance. Let's go. And then we'll come back and do some more training. Alright, so we're arriving at Squin, and I think my sword should be probably in the bar where I got my ass beat. But hey, now that we're here, we could break into the weapons shop and steal a whole bunch from there. Let's see. Oh my god, where's my sword? Did someone fucking take it? That was the whole point of this. Wonder, is it somewhere out here? Where I was in the air? Dude, that's fucked up. It's real fucked up. Do you have my sword? No. No, but I do need food. Oh yeah, I have a mod called Potatoes Expanded. Let's see. This will give us 15 nutrition. This will give us 50. I think we'll grab some hash browns. God damn it, the whole point of this start is that you're wanted, but you have a legendary sword. Let's go in the jail and see if they took my sword, but I'll bet you anything, just some random took it. Those bastards. Confiscated goods. Oh. Oh. That was the sleeping bag I stole. Well, I can't find my sword, which is a real shame, but this is where I'm going to have to call it for today because my son woke up. Maybe, I mean, we know where we're gonna pick up when I come back next time. We're gonna try to find this sword. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, subscribe if you liked it, and goes for leave a like if you liked it, and dislike it if you disliked it. And thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Oh shit, oh shit. He has no idea. Cleep. Oh, what the heck. Let's just go. Let's get him one more time. Oh, no, no, no. Get out, get out, get out. He's not having it. Hello again, friends. We are back in the Kenshi universe. If you remember what happened last time, I lost my legendary sword, which I was not too happy about. So I went from being a wanted criminal with a 20,000 cat bounty on her head, wanted by the United Cities and the Holy Nation, who at least had a legendary sword, to just a wanted criminal. But at least now I'm part of the Shinobi Thieves. And so my personal plan here is to exact my revenge on all of Squin. I've reviewed the footage, and what I've found is that when the guard picked me up to arrest me, he dropped my sword in the middle of town. If my sword was still here, it would be right here. This is where it fell. I've checked all of the containers in the guard tower prison, and it's not here. The chief does not have it in his confiscated goods. So I imagine some random person picked it up. So my plan is to go back to the hub. We are going to train assassination so that we can stealth KO every motherfucker in Squin and loot them and see who has my legendary sword. If no one has it, well, then it was either just cleaned up by the game and doesn't exist anymore, which is kind of the worst case scenario, or it has come into possession of someone totally random who was just passing through town and picked it up, in which case we will find it somewhere in the wasteland. But first, we have to check everyone in Squin. It just seems right. You can't let a legendary weapon like that just go to waste. First thing I want to do is find the trader. I think that'll be it. That way, when people see us stealth KOing them, we'll be able to fight back a little bit. So assassination is at 2 right now. Athletics is at 17, which is going to be good for running away. We're going to spend a couple days here. We're going to work on this training. Not only are we going to train assassination, we need to train stealth too. I think you can use the training dummy for assassination up till about level 15 before it just starts taking way too long to level up on it. So we'll go till we're about there, and then if it's daytime, we'll just sneak around the hub, and then once night hits, we'll sneak into some of the houses and see who we can stealth KO pretty easily. Probably just give her this next level, get it to level 12, and that's good enough for me. Now we'll go into sneak and just start sneaking through the crowds and stuff. If we just go back and forth across town a couple times, it should get us a couple more levels. Everybody sees me right now. We're up to 8, so we've gone up 1. The hub has a couple groups of people. You got Holy Nation outlaws, escaped slaves, mercenaries. I don't really want to make enemies with any of them. It's like it doesn't matter who does see me, because the split second that no one sees me, I get a whole bunch of XP and stealth. All we really need is one person who can't fight back so good. I would like to, in the long run, join up with Tin Fist, because like I said in the last video, my little role play is that she wants to help free the slaves. It would be cool to join up with the anti-slavers. Another thing I think would be cool, and this just kind of came to me looking at the hub all destroyed and stuff, would be to get a whole bunch of escape slaves and other people and fix up the hub and make it a booming metropolis. It looks like a lot of people are in for the night. She's all by herself. Bean Sprout. There's a 69% chance to knock her out. So let's try that. Be stealthy. Can't stealth KO if you're not stealthy. Bink! Oh, that didn't work. Oh yeah, you dumb bitch, you don't even have your fucking weapon equipped. As soon as I run out of her house, you don't even care. Let's equip that and go sneak up behind her. You see, even failing, we got assassination up 3 levels by attempting. Oh. You mind your business. Alright, Bean Sprout, it's just you and me. Bink! Night-night. There she is. What you doing down there? She's playing dead. Let's just go back out and come back in. That got us up to 16. I'm coming or going? Heh heh heh. Bink! Cleep. She keeps just going through the wall. Oh. And she picked a fight. I fix up my leg a little bit. We'll pick on Bean Sprout one more time and then see if anyone else is vulnerable. Who are you? Who are you? Oh, nope, she don't like us. She immediately wants to fight. Let's move on to the next target dummy. Haha, saint. Don't you know you never sit with your back towards the door? That's like some cowboy thing. I think it was like Buffalo Bill or something. Never sat with his back toward the door. Oh, he must have heard me. Bink! Night-night! Like we tell my son, time to go memes! Assassination's gone up to 18. I think if we just keep practicing on these weak guys, we'll be able to get most of the people in Squid. The hard part's gonna be like getting people in the bars and stuff. Oh. It's not working. Blink. Night night. He has no idea. Cleep. Let's step back outside. I think that's the key. So they don't try beating you up when they wake up. You step outside. Let them collect themselves. Don't worry about what I'm doing. He's not hurt at all. He's just hungry. All we're doing is putting him mimes and making him fly a little bit. It does seem to be taking longer for him to wake up every time though. We might be concussing him a little bit, even though his head is okay. Bink! Yeah, it's definitely taking longer for him to wake up. But assassination is up to 27. And stealth is up to 20. Athletics is at 25. These are not terrible. The only thing that sucks is all of my combat skills really suck right now. So I think, oh, what the heck. Let's just go, let's get him one more time. Oh, no, get out. He's not having it. It's fine, we're fine. I'm not trying to kill anyone in the hub. Let's go practice on the other training dummy. Melee attack takes a long time to train on the dummies, I've learned. So we probably won't spend too much time doing this, and we might only get it to like level 5. But I think tonight we can go back to Squin and just start checking people. And hopefully not end up back in jail again. Just let her go a little bit more. Usually when I play Kenshi, I go for just like settlement building, making a strong, self-sufficient outpost. So this is my first time like just being a sort of nomad. Alright, so I think this is kind of where we're at with the law of diminishing returns. It's just taking way too long, so now would be a good time to start heading back to Squin. Run, Forest. Gentlemen. Yeah, I don't have anything stolen yet. Hot longs. You don't look like you picked up my silver. Blink. Hot longs is clear. Who are we gonna check next? Let's see if we can get Turkin. Or perhaps Callan. Oh no, that guy sees me. They both see me. Mind your beeswax, my man. Maybe we'll go in a bar. That guy's gonna look straight at me. Let's see. Here's Telemina. Oh. Hidden. She doesn't have it. Time to run. Come on, bitch. Okay. Oh, is he throwing... He threw Telemina out? That's funny. She didn't even do anything. She just got knocked out. Alright. Now, Zan. Where you going, buddy? You going to get some armor? You probably can't afford it. Zan is clear. Hot longs is clear. Let's go check Turkin. Oh shit, oh shit. Here we go. We on the run. Run, bitch! Run! Get away from the sheks. Oh yeah. We've crossed 3 off our list then. Of everybody in Squin. How long are they gonna chase me? Some of them are starting to give up. Just two of them. Even one of them is way too tough for me to try to actually fight right now. I think it's time to make a plan. I think we go to spring, which is about right here. And we see about joining Tin Fist. This guy is still chasing after me. Don't you got... Yeah. You got a gate to guard. It's so dark. I'm really surprised I haven't been ambushed by literally anything yet. No bandits. No spiders. This is pretty. Oh shit. Yeah, get away, stupids. They're gonna ambush me at some point. All I had to do was speak it into existence. Venge is sketchy. We might get a little messed up here. Oh god, oh god. Oh my god. Yeah, you should probably just not be in Venge. Yeah, swimming is definitely the ideal move here. Here we go, Stobe's Gamble. This is pretty. Hey buddy. Oh, you're fighting someone down there. Not me, that's all that matters. Here we go. We've made it. Hello. Welcome to the anti-slavers. I went to join the anti-slavers. Good. Talk to Gray. He should be here around HQ. I guess we could fangirl a little bit. Ha ha. Fists of justice. Why do you guys mostly fight without weapons? I was taught by Gatwood the Soft. Ooh. Ooh. He was the founder of modern martial arts, got his name by never killing anybody despite being undefeated. After he died, I kept on with his no-killing tradition for 150 years. Then I sort of relapsed, but I still try to minimize loss of life whenever possible. Well, that's pretty dope. Maybe this is a lesson that I don't need my legendary Nodachi. When you can fight unarmed, nobody can ever disarm you. Even when you are naked and in chains, it's the perfect weapon for a slave. Oh shit. I want to join the anti-slavers. Then let's find Gray. There he is. He croaks, his voice soft and quiet. Looks like we have a visitor. Good visitor or bad, I wonder? Good. And talk, what is it you want? I want to join the anti-slavers. Well, an enemy of the Holy Nation is a friend of the anti-slavers, and what makes you want to join? Because I want to fight for freedom. Freedom is a beautiful thing, isn't it, comrade? But the road to it is not so beautiful. You make allies with the anti-slavers, you make enemies with the Traitors Guild. You'll fight for people's freedom, yet those very people will spit on you with that freedom. You'll fight for what is noble and high, but you'll live grim and low. At battle for a simple loaf of bread. It is the price we pay to fight for what we believe in. Is it a price you can pay? It's like the end of a Dr. Seuss book. Like, how about you? Sign me up. Then I'll spread the word, Vagabond. Don't give up the fight for freedom. The United Cities and Holy Nation were already hostile towards me. Ooh. But we don't care about the Traitors Guild. We got the Thieves. We can sell stuff to them. He spread the word really fast. Alright. They got our back. So, I think this is where I'm going to call it for today. We are now officially a part of the anti-slavers with my boy. Stand here, get a picture with Tin Fist. Take a picture with your hero, honey. But that's where we're going to call it for today. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. If you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, dislike it. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye. The sun is coming up, and then it's... Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Run. Nope, they suspected a thing. Welcome back to Kenshi. You might be wondering how I ended up in this situation. Well, Vagabond has had some training since you last saw her, some wardrobe upgrades too. Been picking on these dust bandits, if you want to see. We've got her stealth up to 71. She is successfully Naruto running everywhere now. Assassination is at 44. And in fact, she even tried knocking out the Dust King with success and absolutely no save scumming. Stole all of his gear and sold it, and was able to afford herself an armored hood and some assassin's rags and some drifter's leather pants. The only thing that Vagabond has struggled to level up, the thing that I have tried the hardest to level up, is martial arts. We've got it at 1 level. She has got toughness and strength up. Strength we leveled up when a slave monger attacked her in the middle of the hub, and she took him over to the Thieves Guild and let the Shinobi help take care of him. Looted everything off of his dead body, sold it to them, and then happily picked up his body and carried it around town like a trophy. You don't mess with the anti-slavers. Slave mongers beware. That got her strength up to 15. As soon as she can start landing hits on these guys, you know, her martial arts will start to go up. Let's find out. Her dodge has gotten really good too. Oh, as soon as her legs start getting messed up, that's when we're just gonna run. There we go, there's the leg. We're out. Oh no. It doesn't matter where we're going right now, we're just getting the fuck away. Boy, you got some maneuvers. Eat our dust bandits. So yeah, now we're just running for our lives. The goal for today is to kidnap anyone involved in slavery. I have a few soft requirements for the people I want to start taking out early on. So I want to hopefully find someone who is relatively close to Spring, so that way I can bring them back to Tin Fist and he can imprison them. There's a few slave camps in Hang. What I decided on, right here, right above Gut, there's a slave camp. We're gonna try to sneak in there and take the slave mistress. Now we're in Hang. This is it. This is the slave farm. We got 4 guards here, but you see what the chance is to knock them out? It looks like on that side we've got the same amount. I think we gotta wait till it gets dark. We'll wait till it gets dark and then we'll start knocking the guys out. And then we'll go in the noble house and we'll try to kidnap the slave mistress. That didn't work. What would happen if I just tried to run in? Could they catch me? Oh, they shot her in the leg. Well, this isn't gonna work. Just try to knock out one guy at a time and then pause and sneak away. No. Well, that didn't work. How are we going to do this? It would be nice if she could just pole vault into there. Oh, on this side it's only 1 guard. That's huge. And then she's got so many guards here. Look, he's fighting bandits right now. Maybe we can just run in. Oh my god. We're in. We got all these guys to worry about. Let's just let it get dark and see if some of them go inside. We have successfully infiltrated the slave farm. Tin Fist is gonna be so proud. I wonder, this guy's by himself. I wonder if I could knock him out, take his stuff, and maybe they would think I'm one of them. Blink. I'm disguised as a slave trader now. So now, I wonder if she could just walk right in here and they wouldn't recognize her. I am so smart. SMRT. They're not gonna let me in. So I guess now that we're doing it this way, we have to wait till day. Don't worry, buddy. We're gonna set you free. We'll just wait right here and wait for it to be day. The sun is coming up and they won't say, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, run. Nope, they suspected a thing. I'm so focused on not getting caught right now. Never mind, never mind, never mind. Okay, when he turns to face the other way, we'll go in. Wonder if I can knock them out. No, I have a 0% chance to knock them out. Okay, we're in the noble house, but this guy is about to come in here. Just hide back here. I mean, he's looking right at me, but it says I'm in sneak. Oh, he knows I'm in here. Let's see if she can make it up there before them. Oh shit, and more guys upstairs. There's the noble. I can't stealth KO if I'm not in stealth. This might be a reload. Oh no, they're messing me up. Okay, that's a reload. How do we do this with the disguise? We're not sneaky in this, so there's no point in being in stealth. It completely negates all of our stuff. Oh my god. Whatever that was lucky. Just get over here and get into sneak. Like they're not even worried about me right now. They know I'm in here. This is the one I gotta get. So it's just the 3 of them up here. And then there's more downstairs. So even if I do get her, getting her out's gonna be hard. This might have all been just a moment of hubris for Vagabond. I don't know if we're ready yet. We can't fight these guys. Maybe... Let's try it again, but in my assassin clothes. Let's see if those guys run away again. I have a chance to knock them out now. Oh, fuck. That didn't work. This is the slaver boss? Maybe we reload and try to kidnap this guy instead. I think the odds of this guy having the same amount of protection as the noble is not likely. Let's see what happens when we just walk in. That's our guy. He can kind of see me right now. Hidden. Let's see if we can get behind him without being seen. Shit. Oh. He moved. Let's see if we can get back here without him noticing me. This is alright. Is he going to move back over here? Or do we try to get him right here? Nope. We can try again. Okay. We got him. Okay. We got him. Now we gotta stealth KO the slaver boss. That didn't work. Okay, he went upstairs this time. Nope. See if we can get him now. We got him. Now, can we kidnap him? Do we fucking... Now we have to make our escape. This is gonna be our best way out of here, I think. We got 3 guards here. What about on the other side? Dude, there's no one here right now. Let's just try to run out that way. We'll sneak, just fucking run. My god. We got him. We got him and they didn't even try to stop me. Okay. Now we just gotta make it all the way back to spring. Let this be a lesson to you pieces of shit. Dude, I can't believe I fucking did it. I can't believe it. I can't believe we have him. My nerves are so high right now. It was so intense. And absolutely no save scumming. I did that perfectly. It went off without a hitch. We definitely need to get martial arts up before I can start getting any nobles or anything. We might have to go through Venge to get through these outlaw farmers. See if I can outrun them. Oh, they're hitting me a little bit. Oh, nice. Oh shit. There's Stokes Gamble up ahead. Oh shit. Tin Fist is gonna be so fucking proud of me. Almost there. Oh my god, we're so close. This slaver boss has officially been imprisoned. I think Tin Fist will be very proud of us. Well, and I think that's gonna be it for today. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, dislike it. Subscribe if you haven't for more Kenshi adventures. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Welcome back to Kenshi. I had some mic issues recording this episode, so I'm doing commentary in post instead of making you listen to a weird robot girl voice threatening to whoop a hungry bandit's ass. But the important thing is this. I tried to set up a martial arts training camp and accidentally made a fight club for every bandit in Shem. In my last video, I kidnapped a slaver boss, and I realized I would definitely need to get combat skills higher before I imprisoned any nobles who actually have an effect on slave farms crumbling. And since I lost my legendary sword in episode 1, and joined the anti-slavers in episode 2, who don't even use weapons, I figured this means I am destined to become a kung fu master. So I pinned a comment asking for efficient martial arts training practices, and I got some helpful advice, particularly this comment that told me I needed to train strength and dodge the most. That way, when my punches do start to land, they'll hit like a truck, which sounded great in theory, but of course, Kenshi had other plans. The first thing I did was go from Spring to Flats Lagoon to buy some building materials. Then, I made my way to Shem and set up shop. I quickly realized that I forgot to grab any books while I was in Flats Lagoon, and had spent all my money on building materials, so I queued up the tech that I could research, just item storage really, and started researching. Then, I got to mining the copper deposit next to my shack. The plan was simple: fill my backpack with copper, run to Flats Lagoon, sell it for books, and train strength while I did it. Almost as soon as I began mining, I was interrupted by some dust bandits, who are presumably mad that I emasculated their leader by knocking him out and leaving him naked in the desert without a weapon. They were giving it all they got when some hungry bandits got in on the action too. Eventually, they forgot all about Vagabond and just started fighting each other. She healed up and I immediately sent her back in the fight because we could not let that sweet XP go to waste. And where the hungry bandits lack in strength, they make up for in numbers because they beat all the dust bandits. I'm sure it's because I softened them up for them. And then it was them versus me. This is where Vagabond started getting a lot of dodge XP, which definitely was coming in handy. The fights were lasting much longer. Then, a big thing came through to pick off the bandits so that Vagabond could get back to mining. The sun rose upon day 19, and since her laboring skill was so low, we only had 1 stack of copper ore. I definitely need more to be able to get strength up a few levels like I wanted to, so she kept up the good work. After a lot of grinding, I got bored and decided to take advantage of the cripples circling around my shack for some easier experience, only for their friends to come out of nowhere to defend them. I kept her in block and she just kept leading them around in circles, dodging nearly every one of their clubs. This was not what I had in mind when setting up my training camp, but at this point I realized something. This might actually be better training than the original plan. Dodge was now up to 19 and steadily rising. Even martial arts was slowly going up as she started landing a few hits. She ended up getting stuck on the wall and they knocked her out, but since all her food is in a separate backpack, they didn't steal anything from her. Didn't take long for her to wake up and heal, then go loot the beak thing. The hungry bandits took its meat, but I could still take its skin to sell. Then it was back on the copper mining grind. We almost had 2 full stacks and her encumbrance was at heavy, so I would just let her finish the second stack and we'd we'd run to Flats Lagoon. I know it's more effective to have a full backpack, or even better, multiple full backpacks, but I still wanted her to be able to run away from any enemies that were too tough. We arrived on the morning of day 20, and the copper we sold got us up to over 8,000 cats. So I just bought up all the books we could afford and grabbed a sleeping bag for speedier healing between fights and ran back to the training camp. I queued up some tech research, walls, training dummies, a small house, and the next tech level, and waited for Vagabond to slowly figure out how science works. Once she finished her research, I set up the outline for our training camp. The idea here is that she'll load up her backpacks with heavy ore and then walk back and forth through the maze, an idea I got from a Cool Kid Croc video, to level up strength quickly and efficiently. The sun rose over the desert on the morning of day 21, and Vagabond was building what she could with the building materials she had, but it wasn't going to be enough, so we'd have to do the Mine Grind Flats Lagoon shopping trip again for building materials this time. That's when I was warned of a Holy Nation attack on its way to my training camp. This had me concerned because I didn't want to end up in the Rebirth training camp instead, and with a 20,000 cat bounty, that's surely where they'd take this disgraceful woman. But on the bright side, the materials trader was coming too. Vagabond met the assault outside the gate of her camp, and I put her in block to be prepared to take some heavy hits. Again, I really didn't want her to get too beat up by these guys and end up in slavery, so I chickened out early and had her run. I thought if they followed me long enough, maybe I could take them to Spring, and Tin Fist and the gang would help me beat them up. But all they ended up doing was beating down one of my walls, and so she ran back Naruto style, and by the time she got back, the assault had ended. I checked to see if any more raids were coming, and found that the Black Dragon ninjas were next up to raid my base. Looking at the map, I saw that they were moving at pretty much the same rate as the materials trader. While I patiently awaited their arrival, I mined some more copper to sell to the materials trader, hoping I'd be able to get enough building materials to finish these walls. The Black Dragons arrived, and the Hive caravan was right behind them. Because Vagabond had put the majority of her copper ore in the chest inside the shack, she only had one in her inventory to sell, and could only afford 2 building materials, much to my chagrin, so I had her run inside to grab the rest of them when the Hivers and the ninjas started fighting each other. I walked up to the caravan boss mid-fight and sold him the rest of my copper and bought all the building materials I could afford. From what I could tell, the Hivers had done a number on the ninjas, so I told Vagabond to help them out, but not before they knocked out the last one. Seemed like the perfect opportunity to loot a couple of the Black Dragons, since I had a merchant right here, so that's exactly what I did, and I bought some food cubes and building supplies off the caravan boss before they ran off into the night. Vagabond then continued construction on her training camp. On day 22, I took a look at just how disliked Vagabond was across the world of Kenshi. Not sure if it's a me problem or a them problem. And I noticed that bounty hunters were on their way to try and turn her into the United Cities. This I could not allow. I was to be taking them down, not the other way around. They arrived with a quickness, so I devised the same plan I had earlier when the Holy Nation attacked, and made way for Spring. The beak things gave me more trouble than the bounty hunters did. I guess they aren't smart enough to chase me into the distance and just tried messing up my base. As soon as I ran through the water, the beak things had lost interest in me, so it was time to finish what I'd started. After going through all the building materials we acquired from the Hive caravan, it was back to the mining grind and a trip to Flats Lagoon. Day 23 was upon us, and Vagabond was chipping away at the old copper ore deposit when a team of hungry bandits came out of nowhere. No big deal, just some more easy XP. We ran them around for quite some time, and when I checked her dodge XP, I noticed that the rate at which she gained experience was hindered by her encumbrance. So we dropped the backpack full of ore, and then continued the 5 Ds of dodgeball: dodging, ducking, diving, dipping, and dodging. I was super pissed when I realized that a few of them had taken up residence in our small shack, but little did they know, I was not trapped in here with them, they were trapped in here with me, or so I was telling myself. So for the time being, I let them stay in the shack. I knew they'd come in handy as a sort of captive group of target dummies. I was focused on finishing these walls first and foremost, totally cleaned out the merchant in Flats Lagoon of all his building materials, and even invested in a second wooden backpack. And I finished my construction in stealth so as not to get ambushed by the squatters in my shack. I needed to put the storm house up so I could fit the bigger research bench inside. And as soon as I began construction on it, the hungry bandits thought it was nicer than my measly little shack, and they went back and forth weighing the pros and cons of both houses before ultimately deciding they liked the storm house best. And that's when I turned block off, and Vagabond's training camp officially became Vagabond's Fight Club. With strength at 23, toughness at 54, and dodge at 22, 32, she could actually handle herself pretty decently now and land a few punches and low kicks. We repeated this whole song and dance of fight, 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 then run and heal several times. When her condition got pretty low, I told her to lock herself in the shack and turn in for the night. The fight would resume when she was well again. While she slept, the Fight Club members wandered aimlessly around the camp, just waiting for Vagabond to come back and kick their asses. And then I received notice that bandit demands were on their way. That's okay, I thought. The more the merrier in this Fight Club. They made it in no time, and I fought my way across the grounds to let them inside. The door was wide open, and this dude talked a lot of shit before they actually came inside the fight. But once inside, it was a full-blown mosh pit, and Vagabond and I were like the puppeteers pulling their little strings, egging them on. Matrix dodging, can't fucking say it. Matrix dodging weapons, kicking the shit out of their shins, punching them straight in the chest, then running and healing, and then kicking the shit out of anyone who got too close. It wasn't according to plan, but it was most certainly doing the thing I set out to do, which was train combat skills. That's why I love Kenshi, because you can set a goal for yourself, it more than likely won't go according to plan, but when you still see the progress you wanted to achieve, the satisfaction is immense. She'd get knocked down, and then get up again, because they ain't never gonna keep her down. She beat the shit out of cripples because they made easy targets for low kicks, and at the end of the day, Vagabond locked herself in the small shack while both factions of bandits took over the unfinished stormhouse, as she slept the night away, knowing full well that the next day would also be full of ass whooping. Day 26 was here, and there was more fighting to be had. Vagabond was finally starting to land some good punches on these guys, enough to knock out hungry bandits if she was only fighting one or two. Of course, any more than that and she'd take a nap. At the end of the day, her martial arts had gone up to 8, which is not super impressive by any means, but it's finally enough to actually be able to start winning fights against weaker enemies. I'm hoping next time I'll be able to use the camp as intended, which means it'll be time to start kidnapping nobles. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, dislike it if you disliked it, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye! Welcome back to the Vagabond saga. In episode 3, the hero of this epic crusade, Vagabond, set out on a quest to capture nobles in an effort to end slavery in the wasteland. While she was not strong enough to capture the noble we were after at that time, slave mistress Ren, she was successful in capturing a slaver boss from the slave farm in Hang, an achievement in its own regard, however, not a world state-changing achievement. So she disappeared, built herself a training camp, or Vagabond's Bandit Fight Club, as it came to be known, got much stronger, so that she could get what she had come for in the first place and actually make a difference in this hostile world. This is the story of how Vagabond finally captured and imprisoned slave mistress Ren and got her revenge on the slave farm that tried to ruin her. We ended episode 4 on day 26. Strength, toughness, dodge, and martial arts being the focus of this training camp base full of bandits. Vagabond could hold her own pretty good in a fight now, but she was terribly outmatched as the number of hungry bandits infiltrating the camp had grown exponentially by the day. As soon as she'd wake up from one nap, we were right back in the fight, but after so many hits to the gut, she was getting downed pretty easy. We had to strategize. On day 28, I decided to make use of our maze I built and train stealth, which would actually come in clutch during our kidnapping. Due to the sheer amount of bandits in the camp, we were leveling it up like crazy. This was huge for Vagabond, and at night I sent her to mine copper so that when it was light out, she could run back and forth in the maze with a little weight in her inventory to level up strength. This became the pattern. Daytime was for the maze, and nighttime was for the mine. By day 32, the hungry bandits had all been killed or driven off by the Band of Bones, who were a bit tougher. However, Vagabond was also tougher now, and all these guys represented to her was better XP gains, no matter the risk. On day 33, all of the bandits had abandoned the fight club, and I took advantage of this day by filling up a backpack with ore for strength training. I had also opened the fight club to the public, so a few roaming factions like tech hunters and menders popped in and out. At this point, I had leveled strength to 30, toughness to 67, dodge to 29, and martial arts to 13. But the shining star of the stats list was stealth, showing up at a whopping 94. Very big improvements from where we started. And since there were no more bandits in the camp, I turned stealth off to most effectively train in the maze. Day in and day out, we were walking the maze with 3 heavy backpacks. That's when I noticed some crippled homeless hanging out like degenerates outside of my camp. More weight. So Vagabond went and beat the brakes off some cripples and carried one around for weight. For the next 2 days, Vagabond walked the maze hauling around a corpse until I got bored and strength was now at 45, so I said good enough. She had become a pristine picture of power built by a training regiment of strict discipline and patience. and now I knew it was time to exact her revenge on the noble who had scorned her. I arrived at the slave farm, which is located on the border of Hang and Gut. My initial plan was to see if I could free some slaves and maybe have some backup in taking down the camp. Both gates were fully guarded, so I had to be sneakier than a fart in church. I sent Vagabond around the edge of the wall, only to find that she was so inconspicuous, she had somehow seamlessly infiltrated the farm, which made me panic and make her hide. Great, I thought, we're in once again. It was dark, and I made my way over to a building that housed some of the slaves. My first step was to knock out the guards and remove their weapons. Then I began picking locks on prison cages. I hadn't been training lockpicking and was starting to regret that, but I would get enough levels in that skill while we were here that it would never matter again in the future. I was able to free the guys downstairs with ease, but as soon as these dum-dums escaped, the guards were running in after them to recage them. However, I'd become so sneaky that they had no idea I was in the same room as them. I decided to move Vagabond upstairs, and a guard followed right behind her, still unknowing of her presence. She hid in the corner and then attempted to stealth KO him, but she failed and had to fight, and I was blown away at how far her fighting skills had come. She absolutely wailed on this guy until she finally knocked him unconscious and into a coma. So then I went back to picking cage locks. This is where lockpicking started to soar, as these cages were quite difficult to unlock. Most of the slaves were eager to escape, but others were a bit apprehensive. A guard noticed that I had freed a Shek slave and came to fight her, so every time a guard would show up, I'd just knock them out and then loot any weapons, armor, or first aid kits off of them. Anything that would make it easier for the slaves to fight back. And I also made sure to heal the slaves whenever possible. It was becoming Vagabond's great responsibility to care for these victims that she was trying so desperately to free. The cycle continued of picking locks even if a slave was hesitant to be freed, and knocking out and looting guards. All the assassination training I'd done in episode 2 was really paying off as I binked them all night-night. Escaped slaves were now helping me as well with freeing the other prisoners. However, this method was becoming rather tedious as they kept getting captured by the guards at a faster and faster rate than what I, as a solo hero, could handle. And even though I was successful in my attempts to knock out the guards, this was unsustainable. This thought was confirmed when several guards regained consciousness in sync and Vagabond had to kung fu fight them all. I knew that I would have to devise another, more efficient liberation plan, so that's when I ran out of the slave house to come up with something better. I ran the guards around for a while and some asshole was shooting at me, which was no bueno. I was able to get her out of the gates, and by the time we did, an alarm had been raised. I ran them around the outskirts of the slave farm for a bit, and by the time I had just one slave boss on me, I decided it was time to fight back. All that strength training and bandit fighting was not for nothing, as Vagabond kicked this dude's puny little butt. I think that fight versus one guy made me a little too ballsy, and I had Vagabond run right up to the gate to where she was met with guards and manhunters ready to beat this enemy of the Empire to a pulp and shackle her up for good. Luckily, I quickly realized that if I drew them away a little bit, then that meant there was no one at the gate anymore, and I ran her ass inside the farm. This time I thought, maybe I can free the guys working the farms right now, since it's daytime and they're outside close to the gates. This, naturally, was a very, very bad idea, because I just couldn't get the shackles off of them in time before I was surrounded by guards. So I said, fuck it, the only way to take down this camp is to abduct slave Mistress Ren. Her house was wide open, so with a parade of enemies trailing behind me, I ran inside, to find that she wasn't even home right now. Okay, so where was she? I pushed through all of my assailants and checked in the bakery, where she was also nowhere to be seen. The bar, perhaps? Nope, nowhere in sight. Now I was getting very frustrated. I had been through so much in this slave farm, Vagabond needed to get her get back. I took a look outside and she was right in front of the bar. I couldn't stealth KO her if I couldn't get into stealth, so what was I to do this time? I attempted to attack but was so heavily outnumbered, running was really my only option this time. But I'm afraid it was just too late. They knocked her unconscious and they made the hero of this saga into a United Cities slave. But of course, Vagabond wouldn't let that cage hold her for long. She was too massively skilled, and I still had an arsenal of weapons and healing and all of my armor except for my boots. Nothing was going to hold her back from accomplishing what she set out to do today. She busted out with little effort and then attempted to free more slaves from this rooftop once again. And this time, I was arming them with whatever weapons I could give them. Then, I went for the guys on the first floor whose cages were considerably easier to open. I tried to knock out every guard who intercepted our path and take whatever I could from them. But once again, there was just too many of them, and Vagabond was getting weakened by all the fighting, so she was knocked out and caged once again. Bald, armorless, but not broken of spirit, Vagabond would break free from this prison. All night and into the morning, I hid behind slave mistress Ren's house. I had no more patience for trying to rescue slaves individually. We had to burn this whole shit to the ground because now it was personal. My first attempt went poorly, of course, because what hadn't gone poorly so far? I ran her around outside the farm through the edge of gut, and when things cooled off a bit, we went back. I waited outside until the next morning for things to settle down. I knocked out the one guard who was at the gate and went to my hiding spot behind the bar. I sneakily made my way over to the noble house, and after only a couple attempts was able to pick the lock on the door without getting caught. I very carefully closed the door behind me and did a look around. I found Mistress Ren, as well as her samurai guards, upstairs, all asleep. Big mistake on their part. That's when I went in for the KO. Only to fail at the first attempt, raise an alarm, and then try again with success. I knocked that bitch out and picked her ass up, and now it's time to haul ass out of here without getting caught. I made a run for it, and boom, we were home free. I'd done it. I captured the slaver bitch that got me, and now she would suffer the consequences. The entire United Cities would suffer as well, because UC citizens rely on this farming camp for food ever since the Holy Nation destroyed the city and settlements in the Bast region. Without Slave Mistress Ren running the operation, the entire thing will fall to ruin, and UC citizens will become malnourished. Vagabond ran non-stop across a hostile desert to imprison the slave mistress. We ran into a little bit of pain and revenge, but nothing too severe. When we neared spring, we were being followed by some drone guards of the Southern Hive. We didn't have time for all that jazz, though. When I got to the anti-slaver HQ in spring, I quickly threw Mistress Ren in the prison cage, and the gang had my back against the drone guards. They also did some healing on Vagabond and Mistress Ren. And that was that. I captured Slave Mistress Ren, the slave farm would now begin to crumble, the UC would begin to feel the effects of it, and I had some planning to do, some allies to make. And I know exactly who I'm going to talk to next. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And thank you so much for all the support I've gotten since I started making videos about one of my favorite video games. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. To destroy an empire, you can't strike first. You must starve it. And before a government can fall, there must be something ready to replace it. Then you destabilize its economy. Once its people have nothing left, they'll tear it down themselves. But how did it come to this? From a criminal nobody, drifting through the desert, to actively plotting the downfall of the United Cities. It became quite clear Vagabond couldn't work alone anymore. There was way too much work to be done. So she traveled west to the swamp to recruit some squad members. First, we picked up a Hiver drifter named Silvershade. After that was the prospective anti-slaver reject known as Hammett, who I thought was perfect for this squad because he lost his beloved to the slavers. After that came Ludwig, who I liked because of his silly dialogue. Together, they traveled back to the training camp and endured much suffering together over the next several days. Ludwig even lost his right leg permanently. However, through the power of will and determination, and the motivation to bring down a common enemy, the team built something better than the Fight Club. A strong and sturdy base with a steady supply of food. And by day 57, Vagabond was ready to execute the next part of the operation, making allies with the rebel farmers and boss Simeon. So she made the trip north towards Sinkun, but on the way there, she made a stop at the slave farm she had already crushed. When she destroyed this slave farm by imprisoning Mistress Ren, she had weakened the UC's food supply. The remaining slaves were unjustly trapped inside the locked gates, so she freed them and removed them of their shackles. That's when we got the next member of our squad, an ex-slave named Paraslow, who had a passion to survive and was now Vagabond's adopted sister. We dropped her off at home base so she could get fed and clothed and train up. Then, Vagabond set out again to find Fort Simeon and make a deal. We arrived at Fort Simeon in the wee hours of day 59, and it looked much less like a fort than I was picturing, and more like a hobo village. Upon meeting Boss Simeon, he was surprised to see an anti-slaver at his door. They weren't there for him when he needed someone the most, coast, and he has now turned into a murderous warlord with a starving army. But kind words went very far with him, and he liked the idea of the anti-slavers taking down the United Cities, so he agreed to ally with us. The next step in my plan to overthrow the government— please don't put me on a list, it's a video game for Christ's sake. The next step was to take down the South Stone camp in Hang controlled by slave master Reuben. This camp in particular fed the United Cities its building materials and ore. If the empire was going to collapse, this place had to go. On the way there, we made a quick stop by Stoat to see if the empire peasants were beginning to feel the effects of the loss of the slave farm, to which the answer was yes, they were getting hungrier. Starving peasants would become angry peasants, which now made the United Cities look pretty vulnerable. Then, Vagabond continued on her journey to the next slave camp. She was staking out the camp from behind some tall rocks, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. That's when we noticed the rebel farmers raiding the camp themselves. While the gate guard was distracted fighting a dog, Vagabond moved in from the side. She gave him the old bink, and down he went. She was then able to creep around the perimeter of the camp and hide out behind the noble house of slave master Reuben. But then, right as she was about to go for the target, our base was in trouble. Silvershade, Hammett, and Ludwig were dealing with the Band of Bones. I knew the fight would be rough for them without Vagabond, but they'd have to manage this time. Blood was certainly shed, but lucky for them, the Menders Guild came by to heal them up, and they'd be okay. Vagabond was waiting for everyone in the camp to retreat inside for the night. When the coast was clear, she darted for the door. Her stealth had become so high that these two dum-dums couldn't even see her walk in through the front door. I debated knocking them out, but decided it wasn't worth the risk of failure. That's when I made my move against Master Reuben. Successfully KO'd her, kidnapped her with ease as well, and was able to sneakily run right out the gate thanks to the coverage of the dust storm, and head right home. It was so easy. Too easy. The team was fighting off a beak thing back at the base, and then I noticed that Vagabond was under attack, still not yet home. The skeleton thralls were attacking her and her prisoner, and they were much faster and stronger than anything Vagabond could handle at the moment. She tried to get away, but they were merciless and left her and her captive unconscious in the middle of Venge. Reuben woke up just a second before Vagabond, and both were limping away to safety. Vagabond was going to get what she was after though, and she followed close behind. After much hobbling, she was able to get her mark. Unfortunately, she didn't get far before she was hit by a dust bandit and knocked out once again. Reuben was making her escape while Vagabond tried to recover. I was so worried all my planning would have been for nothing. She was in such rough shape by the time she woke up, and Reuben had gotten so far, and now the dust bandits were coming back for her. She made it close enough to Reuben that the dust bandits attacked her as well, and again, the two of them had been knocked out. And yes, Ludwig was still fighting the beak thing during this entire escapade. When Vagabond finally came to, she picked up Reuben and Sneak and made her way for the training camp for the last time. At the same time, Ludwig took care of the beak thing and healed his fallen teammates. Weary from the trip home, Vagabond finally made it and put her prisoner in the cage. We took everything Reuben had and healed her injuries. She would never make another slave work again. Now, attacks on the camp wouldn't stop just because Vagabond was home. Far from it, actually. We were raided over and over by the Band of Bones, but with the help of some nomads, we were victorious. And the next couple days were about preservation and recovery. Parislo's hair came back, and her mohawk definitely screamed, "I'm rebelling against the establishment." Hammett manned the turret so that if attackers came in from the gate, he could get their health down pretty good before they reached the team. Ludwig had become as skilled a swordsman as he was a doctor. Silvershade was the farmer. And in the early hours of day 63, when the team had recovered pretty well, Vagabond left to execute the next step of the plan. The farms were failing, the peasants were hungry. Now it was time to really cripple the empire. The Traders Guild had to go. We were going after Longan now. Vagabond staked out Trader's Edge until the cover of night fell. Then she started to move in. And of course at that same time, the camp was under attack once again. Hungry bandits. I had faith in the squad to handle this one. Vagabond's stealth skill made this practically feel like cheating. She was so sneaky she walked through the spotlight past 5 guards, into town, then straight into the Traders Guild headquarters. Longan was asleep on the 3rd floor, so I just went for it. She was stealthier than a Sasquatch at this point. It didn't matter who was in the room. If it was dark enough, she was hidden. She got our man practically effortlessly. Then she made her escape once again across the desert, where I prayed we would have an unexciting trip home. The squad had cleared the base of hungry bandits, and it seemed like everything would be clean and easy this time around. Until I was warned of a holy assault headed towards our camp. Great. Looking at the map, I could see that they were closer, but Vagabond was faster. She rushed to beat them there while the team fought off a beak thing. It was a race against time, and I could only hope Vagabond was winning. She did beat the Holy Nation back to her camp and quickly imprisoned Longan, taking everything he owned as well. She could lecture him about why slavery is wrong, but that would have to wait because we had to prepare for the incoming assault. Vagabond and Silvershade waited outside the camp, and Parislow locked the gate behind them. They arrived soon after and the fight was on. Silvershade was really a pawn used to keep some of the attention off Vagabond. The others stayed in the camp to stay safe for when Vagabond needed more help. I truly didn't expect Silvershade to fall so soon, and when he did, I tried to run the Holy Nation away from the camp. She ran them off a short distance when we encountered a team of hungry bandits. Talk about pawns. Silvershade woke up and was immediately under assault by a remaining Holy Chosen. Vagabond couldn't help him. Survival came first. After the hungry bandits had been wiped out, it was 1v14 as Vagabond tried desperately to keep them away from her squad. She was taking many hits, but healing as she put enough space between them. But one can only take so many hits to the chest before enough is enough. She collapsed in the middle of the desert, and the Holy Assault returned to wreak havoc on her camp. Despite Parislow's best efforts, the Holy Nation was able to break open the gate to the camp, and then they went for the walls. They beat the absolute shit out of her, and then went for the others. Hammett was successfully firing bolts on them, but not quickly enough. Vagabond slowly woke up from her nap and needed to get back inside the camp before the Holy Nation released our prisoners from their cages in the Stormhouse. But it was just too late. We couldn't stop them from breaching our locked doors. Now we just had to hope they wouldn't let out the prisoners. She ran back to save Silvershade from dying and was met with the assault. All hope seemed lost as our team just couldn't get back on their feet. How would they recover from this? After a short while, they finished their assault and they all hobbled away, but not without leaving devastating impacts on the squad. Vagabond quickly ran inside the Stormhouse to check, and to our horror, Longan was gone. I combed the surrounding vicinity to see if he was close nearby, but to no avail. There was only one option, and that was to run and find him. But with the dark closing in, it would be much trickier to locate our escaped prisoner. We ran all the way back to Hang in Trader's Edge, anxious that this man had reclaimed his throne and the initial kidnapping scheme had been for nothing. That was far from the reality, though. To my great satisfaction, both cities had fallen and were in ruins. The Empire peasants had finally snapped. Across Hang and Trader's Edge, they were openly fighting the samurai guards in the streets. A full-blown civil war was breaking out. I watched in amazement at the consequences of my actions unfolding and changing the world around me. In the end, things didn't go perfectly, but they still went according to plan. There were still dominoes to be put into place before they could all topple over, and I still had one more friend to make. But for now, I was very pleased with the dismantling of the Empire. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This series has become something way bigger than I ever expected. What started as a chaotic Kenshi gameplay somehow turned into a full passion project, and I genuinely appreciate everyone who's shared advice, laughed at the disasters, or supported these goofy videos in any way. As of today, there are 47 people subscribed to this channel. Maybe that's tiny to some people, but to me it's honestly incredible that 47 people care enough to watch something I made, so thank you. My dad was a published author, and I'm thinking this is my own weird way of carrying on that storytelling tradition. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention? The criminal known as Vagabond has escaped custody once again. She is wanted for acts of terrorism, kidnapping, conspiracy against the Empire. The list goes on. Whoever shall corral this heathen and bring her to justice will be greatly rewarded. As it stands, she has 53,000 cats on her head. She is wanted alive. Do not fail.
Vagabond's next target was Slave Master Grand in Eye Socket, the only slave farm in the Storm Gap coast. It was heavily guarded at the front entrance, but Vagabond was definitely feeling confident in her methods of intrusion and her martial artistry. Maybe she was too confident. That is one of her major character flaws, and with each victory, it only seemed to persist stronger. Why shouldn't she believe in herself too much? She had come so far since she was just a drifter with a legendary sword that she lost on day 2. You may be thinking about our hero. She don't know when to quit. And you would be right. She really, truly does not know when to quit. With her shackles unlocked and removed and her prison cage now easily opened, she'd wait until nightfall to make her move on Slave Master Grand. Back in Shem, the rest of the squad, who we now know as the Tin Fisters, were training and keeping things running as smoothly as possible. With Vagabond sure to return with another prisoner any day now, they would need to get strong. The sun went down over the Storm Gap coast, and Vagabond made her move. She was almost instantaneously found out. She booked it through the desert and let the heat die down a little, and once it was dark, like actually dark this time, she was successful in her breaking, entering, and kidnapping scheme. She brought Master Grand to his new home, locked the door and threw away the key, took all his stuff so he could match his nude friend Slave Master Reuben, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. Just kidding, we're not done, there's still the rest of the Empire to demolish. Next, I sent Vagabond to check in with Tin Fist and the gang in Spring. On the way there, we stopped in at Flats Lagoon and we picked up a tech hunter sharpshooter named Ruby. Unfortunately, as Ruby was making her way home, the Tin Fisters were presently getting duked on by the Band of Bones, who have no reason to bully us yet continue to do so, all politics aside. As Ruby had just made it into Shem, we were warned of an elite hunter assault descending on the camp. She tried desperately to distract them with the group of dust bandits along the way, but they had only one target in mind. They arrived shortly after, and the squad tried to prepare for the inevitable, but to our despair, they penetrated our defenses with the greatest of ease, knocked everybody out cold, and released our prisoners. I voraciously scoured the surrounding desert for any signs of Grand and Reuben, but again, we lost our targets for good. I prayed that enough time had passed for the slave camp to fall. Vagabond was checking in with Tin Fist, who was pleased at her recent alliance with the rebel farmers. She urgently needed to go back to Eye Socket, but this time she would not be alone. Unfortunately, Grand had made it home in time for the camp to not have fallen. Vagabond and her team of anti-slavers would wait until the perfect moment to strike. Night came, and not a moment too soon. Vagabond elusively entered the camp. However, her friends were not as sneaky as she was, and the guards definitely noticed. Vagabond needs to operate alone. Noted. The anti-slavers fought with honor and grit, but were too heavily outnumbered, and were now all facing slavery themselves. Of course, this was not Vagabond's first rodeo, and she knew how to get out of this one. She freed herself, and then just as the sun was beginning to show itself, she was able to free her fellow anti-slaver, Termine. Vagabond spotted Slave Master Grand just outside of the noble house, and he was a Shek now for some reason when he was a Greenlander earlier. Riddle me that one. She was seen by the guards and could not go in for the old reliable stealth knockout. Grand bested her in combat, and Termine kept the guards busy while Vagabond recovered. The slavers prepared her for life as a slave, but not before she was able to stealthily get up and knock out Grand before the alarmed guards could hit her. He was captured. Again. She made her escape through the desert. There was no time to rescue the anti-slavers now, and besides, they of all people would understand the gravity behind the decision to run. She made it home in no time flat and quickly detained her hostage, and this time, he would not be rescued. I needed to make sure of it. Our squad needed some serious boosting to their stats to be able to handle upcoming assaults. So we did something a little unethical by capturing one of the desert's great apex predators and turned it into a training dummy. Then Vagabond needed rest because the world was not done fighting back yet. So I sent the next bravest member of our squad to make sure that Eye Socket was clear and the slaves were free. Silvershade was taking to the desert by himself for the first time ever, and I had nothing but faith in him. Eye Socket was most certainly clear of enemies, and Silvershade could go in and free the remaining slave as well as the captured anti-slavers. Vagabond met up with Silvershade, and the two of them continued to free the surviving slaves. Once finished, Vagabond got a second beak thing to keep as a training dummy, who she brought home with the utmost tender loving care. Back at the base, the team had a little run-in with the Black Dragon ninjas, and my dumbass didn't record any of it. But As seen, we whooped their asses and took everything they owned. The Tin Fisters had spent several days preparing for the retaliation that was inevitably on its way. However, with all the hours everyone had been putting in, they couldn't keep up with the food, so I sent Ruby and Ludwig on a grocery trip. And on their way home, they recruited a giant Shek sharpshooter woman named Naifari, who may have had a bit too much to drink. After the Tin Fisters successfully defended the base from a mob of hungry bandits, they could afford to handle things around home while Vagabond went on a little rescue mission. Tengu's vault houses all the criminals that the United Cities finds particularly troublesome. There is one crazy motherfucker caged up in here that Vagabond had specific interest in freeing, Yabuta of the Sands. She waited for the sun to fully set over the skim sands. 8 samurai guarded the entrance. She very cautiously made her way through the gate, not raising a single suspicion. Once at the top of the vault, she crept gingerly inside. Yabuta was all the way on the top floor, and each level had a number of samurai inhabiting it. She evaded the line of sight for every single one of them and effectively made it to Yabuta's cage. First, the shackles came off. Then, the cage was open. As soon as he was free, this crazy motherfucker made a run for it and started fighting every single person he encountered, leaving me wondering, who the fuck did we just set loose on the desert? Vagabond helped as much as she could simply because we needed him to leave here alive. Once he was unconscious, she scooped him up and hauled ass back home. Yabuta was now free from Tengu's vault. She laid him in bed so he could rest and recover. Then, Vagabond immediately left to go get one more friend who was known to be hanging out in Black Scratch. And now that he was right as rain again, Yabuta got up and left without even saying goodbye. Regardless, it seemed that our new friend was just as interested in finding Vagabond. Big Bo was ready to join the Tin Fisters, and she was now on our side. I sent the two of them to the Great Desert to take on separate missions. If we had 2 sneaky assassin types, then taking out all the nobles we needed to would start going much quicker. On the way there, we saw exactly the reason why we freed Yabuta from prison. A new faction had entered the desert, the Yabuta Outlaws. They're hostile to every single faction, but if they stick around, cannibals shouldn't be a problem in the Great Desert when Tengu is gone. Not allies, not friends, just a different problem that might keep worse ones out. Vagabond arrived at her destination. First, she took out South Stone Camp. Now she'd be taking Master Haga from its sister camp, simply known as Stone Camp. Vagabond would stake out the camp and Bo was headed for her destination. Unfortunately, she's not as sneaky as Vagabond just yet and alerted the guards at Stone Camp to her own presence. One followed her nearly all the way to her target's location, Port North. She seemed to lose him, only to insult a group of Garus who then started chasing her. She escaped through the flooded backside of Port North and finally lost the Garus. She hid in the back and would also wait until nighttime to strike. But that's when I noticed the slaves shouting that the master was dead. Bo moved closer to the gate to see what was happening, and that's when I was warned of an Igor assault headed to our camp. And I'll be quite honest, I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it sure as shit didn't sound good. The anti-slavers were also sending reinforcements our way, so that would surely help. This absolute beefcake of a Shek anti-slaver was out there taking everyone out on his own, but I did not see the slave master out there, so it was unclear why the slaves thought she was gone. Our target here was the noble Lady Kana, and she was safely secured in her room during the fight. On the other side of the Great Desert, Vagabond effortlessly permeated Stone Camp's noble house and nabbed her villain and fled without raising a single alarm. At Port North, I was hoping to have the same luck with Bo. She swam up to the noble house. After several agonizing lockpicking attempts, Bo finally was able to slip her way inside. Vagabond was still far behind the Igor assault, and at that point I questioned if it was even worth bringing her home for it. Finally, Bo sprinted up the stairs and delicately snatched up Lady Kana. She was also able to break out of the city, but not without alerting the samurai to her presence. Luckily, by morning, she was able to outrun them and had a clear shot home. Back home, the team needed to prepare for what was likely going to be the end of the Tin Fisters. But by morning, one of the biggest mobs of hungry bandits I'd yet to encounter came barging into our camp. I had faith in the team. They'd taken on plenty of hungry bandits without breaking a sweat at this point, but there was just so many of them. One by one, the Tin Fisters fell. With an incoming Igor assault, a preemptive ass-beating by the hungry bandits was literally the furthest thing from my mind. Blood spilled everywhere, and the stupid nomads did nothing to help. The anti-slavers were approaching quickly and would definitely arrive before Igor and his samurai. Vagabond was on the edge of Venge and the Great Desert, right behind the assault. At that moment, I thought it wasn't worth the gamble of the United Cities potentially killing her and/or releasing Master Haga. So I told her to hang back in the way station in the Grey Desert. Bo was right behind her in the sands of Hang, and I would have her rendezvous with Vagabond at the way station. But as she entered the eye, she found some trouble. A skimmer was right on her ass and had hit her in the leg, slowing her tremendously. One more hit and Bo was done, and Lady Kana would be free. She almost made it, but what I said would happen is exactly what happened, and Lady Kana made her escape. Vagabond healed up Bo and would protect her until she woke up. That's when Jaeger and the anti-slaver reinforcements arrived. And immediately after them came Igor's crew. Jaeger had the absolute balls to say that he figured we could use some reinforcements. I wonder what gave him that idea. And before the assault even had a chance to attack, Ruby was dead. She had only just become a Tin Fister, and had lost her life because of it. We lost a member before Igor even lifted a finger. All hell broke loose. This was the moment I realized we were no longer some rinky-dink justice team. We were war criminals. Samurai fought anti-slaver ninjas, and my team couldn't even get off the ground to try to fight back. Paraslo crawled around trying to heal everyone so as not to lose any more squad members. The anti-slavers fought valiantly. Before long, the fight was over, and I think we won? All anti-slavers ran back to Springs save for Jaeger, who spent the next few days protecting us. The sands were stained red with the blood of enemy and friend alike. On the moon of Kenshi, it seems that every time you get stronger, the world reminds you that there is always someone tougher. But somehow, the Tin Fisters survived. Barely. That same morning, Big Bo finally woke up from her sand nap and it was time to go home. Vagabond and Bo arrived home shortly thereafter, imprisoned Master Haga, and before Vagabond would go back to Port North for another snatching excursion, it was time to rest. When night came again, Vagabond made the trek back to Port North. On the way there, she saw that the stone camp had successfully fallen, but Port North definitely had not. When the cover of dark came, Vagabond would make sure that it would fall. She swam up to the noble house just as Bo had done. She didn't have to pick the lock to walk right on in. She ran upstairs and grabbed Lady Kana, then made way for the gate. On her way out, she spotted another anti-slaver on the inside. Vagabond darted through the lonely desert sands with a noble over her shoulder. She made it all the way to Venge, having a rather uneventful trip when she was warned of an incoming Holy Nation assault. That was exactly what she wanted to come home to. But all she could do about it was say, "Bring it on, pussy boys." Quickly, she imprisoned Lady Kana, and the team all stood guard, ready for the next fight. Before the Holy Nation could strike, the team had a run-in with the Band of Bones, who were chump change to them by now. But the elite hunters sure as hell were not, and they were on their way next. Just like that, the Holy Assault was here, and it was on. The Tin Fisters fought with valor, for their cause was noble and just. They would not let their work be for nothing. If they fell, they would come back stronger to take on the next challenge. We saw them going for the gate, and we could not allow them to pass through. Nefari was firing shots on them, and Vagabond, ever quick-witted, had the idea to run the Paladins and Holy Chosen around in front of the gate so that Nefari could fire on them while the other team members recuperated. And for the first time, we got a new message, that the Holy Assault had been defeated. The remaining paladins scurried away, and Vagabond and Ludwig healed the team. There would be no time to waste, as the elite hunters would be here next. Silvershade went back inside to repair the gate since the Holy Nation had done so much damage to it. Nefari was passing out from starvation, so he would need to get food for her ASAP. This time around, the Tin Fisters would be down 2 members. The elite hunters arrived soon after, and now it was time for the squad to prove their will to fight for what was right when the odds were stacked against them. The other Tin Fisters fell all too soon, and Vagabond used the same tactic as last time since Silvershade had some emergency potatoes that revitalized Nefari enough for her to shoot at the hunters. But with one bad hit to the leg, Vagabond couldn't keep up, and down she went. They were all over our gate like human flesh on a skin bandit. They broke down our door and ran straight for Nefari. Silvershade, the farmer, was our last hope. As he crossed the river to reach the intruders, it was already too late. They freed both Haga and Kana. Silvershade chased a naked Lady Kana into the desert. Stone Camp had already fallen, but if she made it back to Port North, we'd be back at square one with them. As the trio approached the settled nomads, Lady Kana decided to fight back against Silvershade. He landed a couple hits, but nothing that counted, and all it took was one well-placed kick to the gut to knock him down, and for her to run off into the desert, naked as a jaybird. Vagabond now knew for certain that kidnapping the nobles would not be enough. They needed to die to ensure we would not be repeating missions from here on out. The assault ended, and everyone gathered themselves. What were they to do now? They would heal, and recover, and continue to fight the good fight, because if there's one thing that's true about Vagabond, she don't know when to quit. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to everyone who has shown love to this little series. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, bye-bye. Upon returning to Stone Camp in the Great Desert, Vagabond found that, although it had been destroyed, Master Haga was still alive. She couldn't risk the chance of him somehow rebuilding his slave camp, and she decided that imprisonment was no longer sufficient for these nobles. She would give them the death that they were deserving of. Vagabond wasn't made this way. The world around her made her be this way. Master Haga now belonged to the Painted Tribe, aka the Cannibals. Next stop, Port North. And it would be the last time we would be infiltrating it. Vagabond snuck in from the backside once again and would wait until the perfect moment to strike. Back at the camp, the team was taking care of the last of some of the Black Dragon ninjas. Everybody had recovered well since the last round of assaults, and what didn't kill them truly made them stronger. When night came, Vagabond swam up to Lady Kana's noble house. She was found sleeping peacefully upstairs, so Vagabond just went for it. Scooped her up, and off to Darkfinger she went to make an example of her escapee. This time, there would be no escape. She sprinted into the edge of Darkfinger to drop off another cannibal DoorDash order. As she neared the cannibal village, she saw that they were making Master Haga Hot Pockets, and now we knew for certain that Stone Camp had no chance of recuperating. The cannibals noticed her before she could lock Lady Kana up properly, so she improvised by throwing her to them and got the hell out of there. Vagabond had had enough of the assaults. No more unnecessary deaths. She headed back east to Shobatai. Lord Nagata would also be paying the price for all the suffering caused by the Empire. He was heavily protected by Empire hooded guards. Bink, 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 and then bink. And off we went. On the way there, we crossed paths with some fellow anti-slavers who were proud of Vagabond for ridding the world of the cruelty of Lady Kana, confirming that the new plan was definitely working. At this point, I started laughing like a woman who had truly lost her shit, and my husband, who was sitting next to me, was beginning to ask some very reasonable questions about whether or not this game was healthy for the mother of his children. Some people certainly were not thrilled at Vagabond's latest achievement, as we were warned of an incoming Noble's Wrath assault headed to the camp. Igor was returning and would be there soon. We had faith in the team to handle it, and besides, it's not like they could free any prisoners this time. Igor arrived in no time flat, and he did not come alone. He made no time for pleasantries and got right to assaulting our camp. The team fought back with all they had. Hammett fell first. Naifari was firing shots from up on the walls. Ludwig, Parislo, and Bo were all in the thick of it. It wasn't long before Naifari was the last Tin Fister standing, and Igor and his men were beating down our doors. She tried her very hardest to remain upright, but alas, she was down, and the assault had ended. Igor had left some serious damage to the team, but they were not defeated. Meanwhile, Vagabond was about to teach Nagata why cannibals are not known for their hospitality. At the base, Ludwig was carrying his fallen teammates into one of the houses for recovery when we got a special surprise. Tin Fist, as well as several other anti-slavers, had arrived, saying that he figured we could use some reinforcements. A day late and $1 short, good buddy Mr. Fist. I guess no one had informed him that Igor had already passed through. As a result, he just stayed. He also confirmed that Longan had truly died somehow after his escape from our camp, and now is the time to wage war on the desert. He told Ludwig good job, and I mean, yeah, I guess Ludwig does a good job of holding down the fort and everything. Surely if Vagabond would have been there, she would have gotten some sort of accolades as well. Anyways, in the Great Desert, Vagabond was checking that her work was paying off this time. Port North had been wiped out, and now she was checking on Shobutai. Uprisings were popping up all over town. The Empire peasants were beyond fed up. They weren't strong enough to take down the samurai, but they were angry enough to get the message across. Next up, a small coastal city called Bark, home to the noble Lady Sanda. Breaking into her house was easy because there was nobody guarding the door. However, snatching Lady Sanda up out of bed did raise some suspicions from the guards, and Vagabond had to run the hell up out of there. The better option was to run out of the front gate rather than swim away, simply because she could potentially get shot at in the water and that would slow us down the whole way. Vagabond relies heavily on her speed. She made it all the way out and wasn't seen until it was already too late. She disappeared into the night, and Lady Sanda was off to become a Sanda witch. As she neared Darkfinger, she ran into a different cannibal tribe, the Broken Finger tribe. They chased her around, so I figured why not just throw Sanda down like bait. At first, they had their sights set on Vagabond, but they quickly realized there was a snack on the floor and picked her up within the 5 seconds allowed by the 5-second rule. They soon realized they didn't prefer fast food and decided that Sanda would do just fine. Then Vagabond just had to make a speedy departure onto the next noble. Off she went back into the Great Desert. She'd check on Bark first, and then head to Port South. That was the plan anyway, until we got to Bark and saw that it was the same as when we left, and Lady Sanda was alive, and well, and very heavily protected. She waited once again for the cover of night to fall, and she'd make sure Lady Sanda was not coming back ever again. She found Lady Sanda sitting at the table and gave her the old bink. Uh-oh, it didn't work. But she was still slightly hidden, so she did it again, and bink, and it still didn't work. One more time, bink. Lady Sanda was down, scooped up, and on her way to her end. By morning, Vagabond was nearing the cannibal village. Vagabond ran up to the cage behind Nagata and quickly threw in Lady Sanda and ran away as fast as she could. Now Bark would most certainly fall. To give it some time to collapse, we first ran to Port South to take care of Slave Master Wada, who was a real fucking prick. Everyone was too busy yelling at slaves to notice her stroll right in, gave him the old bink, and he was headed for Darkfinger before he even knew what happened. Vagabond made a no-contact delivery and it was off to Bark next. To our genuine horror, Bark still had not collapsed. I wondered how Lady Sanda could have possibly escaped from cannibals this time. As Vagabond got close to the wall, I inspected the citizens and found that Bark had been liberated. It was totally in control by rebel farmers, outlaws, and swordsmen. Vagabond made her way to the gate and was greeted by a rebel captain who told her that the people were indebted to her. She explored town and found that the rebels had done a fine job of staging a hostile takeover, and when she went inside the bar she overheard some rumors being spread. They spoke of a desert ninja taking out the nobles. Word was traveling fast of Vagabond's endeavors. However, they didn't realize the desert ninja was right in front of them, and thought possibly that Luquin was free from the vault, which gave Vagabond a spark of inspiration she'd save for later. If Luquin was alive in Tengu's vault, Vagabond would make sure he stayed that way and got out. And if the people wanted a symbol of their liberation, Luquin was the perfect man for it. At Tin Fister HQ, the team was fighting off a holy assault, who really didn't seem to stand a chance. Not a single team member fell during this fight. Of course, thanks to the help of the anti-slavers who were now stationed at our base, but also the help of the Igor assaults that had been leveling up their toughness so well. It ended almost as soon as it began, and business could resume as usual. Vagabond was headed south, and stopped by Port South to find that it too had fallen to ruins. Next, Vagabond had to take a little detour to Stobe's Garden. Before she could take out Lady Sugi, ruler of Brink on the Stormgap coast, she needed to eliminate Valamon, leader of the Reavers, so that they wouldn't try to take Brink for themselves. She carefully approached Ark, the bandit stronghold, and cautiously made her way inside. She was discovered halfway up the stairs, unfortunately, and with a band of Reavers trailing behind ready to see Vagabond meet her death, she went to burst into Valamon's throne room. But to her surprise, he met her just outside, and didn't immediately attack. Instead, he spoke to her. Now, Vagabond felt extremely torn. Did she really want to execute someone whose values were somewhat aligned with her own? He also wanted to destroy the nobility and the United Cities, even if his methods were a bit more brutal. But were they? Vagabond had just delivered 4 people to be torn apart at the hands of cannibals. So she left Ark and headed for Brink. If it were to fall into the hands of the Reavers, then so be it. A second Noble's Wrath assault landed on the base. There weren't nearly as many samurai this time, and I actually didn't even see Igor himself. The anti-slavers were exactly the kind of help we needed at this point, except I did notice something truly disturbing during the chaos. Tin Fist, the most legendary martial artist in all of Kenshi, abandoned the way of the fist in favor of a hungry bandit's iron club, and I couldn't take it from him, even if I wanted to. It was his stick, there were many like it, but that one was his. By morning, Vagabond had arrived in Brink, home of the Lady Sugi. Somehow, she had run all the way up to this bar without being discovered and needed to get to the noble house on the other side of town, also without being discovered. No biggie. She was unfortunately found out on her way in, and that's when she heard the most peculiar thing. A guard shouting that Captain Igor fell. She'd figure that one out later. Right now, she needed to get Lady Sugi, who was still asleep, so there was a good chance to kidnap her. Not a good enough chance. Sugi woke up and Vagabond had to get to safety. Lady Sugi, big gal as she was, moved at alarming speeds, like watching a refrigerator with legs run downhill. Vagabond herself runs at a cool 25 miles per hour, so Lady Sugi had to have just been hauling ass. Eventually, they ran into some beak things on the edge of the unwanted zone, and Vagabond could go for round 2. Once she returned, she could see Lady Sugi screaming at absolutely every person she came across, and any potential remorse Vagabond would have felt about her dethroning went right out the window. She was a real see you next Tuesday, if you catch my drift. So, Vagabond devised a more focused plan. Brink is divided into 2 sections, inside and outside the walls. Lady Sugi shops in both areas. Outside the walls is full of destroyed buildings, and she also checks those. So Vagabond hid inside of one, waiting for the perfect moment. With plenty of patience, she waited until finally Lady Sugi wandered in and unexpectedly received a bink. Now she was caught, and Vagabond's escape would be much easier. But the cannibals in the north were a little far, so she debated, and she decided that there was a group of very friendly humans in Sonorous Dark who would make sure that Lady Sugi received everything she deserved. My heart raced as Vagabond snuck into the Skin House headquarters. If the very friendly humans captured her, then she'd receive the peeler as well, and all of this would have been for nothing. So I ran towards the closest building to the entrance/exit and said, "See ya, Sugi?" And as Vagabond ran for her life, she could see Lady Sugi get swept off her feet by a very friendly human. She returned to Brink and found that it had in fact been taken by the Reavers. But a life of forced conscription still seemed a better life than living under the reign of Lady Sugi's bitch ass. There were 2 more nobles to take care of in the North United Cities before we could go for Tengu, Yoshinaga and Hang, and Inaba and Stoat. I looked up, down, left, right, inside, outside, and upside down, and all of Hang for Yoshinaga, and he was nowhere to be found. It's definitely not caused by a glitch I read about only after the fact that is caused by taking out Longan before Yoshinaga, which causes him to despawn when the World State Override kicks in and is solved by a mod, but only after Tengu is taken out too does he respawn. He was surely in hiding due to the rumors of a desert ninja being spread. So it was off to Stoat to capture Lord Inaba instead. Vagabond waited in his room where she'd give him the old Nagata surprise. So she waited, and waited, and waited, and Ludwig went on a shopping trip. While he was at the way station, he overheard conversations about peasant uprisings in the desert, and that the nobles were losing control, and that it was all thanks to some crazy ninja. Cheers to ninjas. The ninja was still waiting. Inaba was clearly not in town. The only ones coming in and out of his house were these Empire noble hooded guards. So she left. There was no logical explanation for Inaba's disappearance anywhere I could find. So, deciding there was no time to lose, Vagabond left to take care of the cities in the southwest. First, she stopped at the slave markets in the South Wetlands. There is a mysterious, unnamed slave master stationed here. If he goes, so does the slave market. When night came, she snatched him up and was gone like a thief in the night. As she traveled to Sonorous Dark, an elite hunter assault had arrived at Tinfister HQ. They truly believed that the Tinfisters had killed Igor, and some of them were hesitant to fight us because of it. "Let them think it," Bo said. They fought with all they had, and when they were downed, some passing nomads helped in the fight. It's safe to say that everyone in Kenshi felt they had a chance against the Empire by now. Tinfist wielded his mighty stick and bopped them for 14 points. If he was happy, I was happy. They had beaten the elite hunters and were ready for whatever came next. Vagabond could hear the screams coming from whatever poor fool found themselves in the peeler machine. A whole group of skin bandits, very friendly humans, met Vagabond outside. She dropped him on the ground and ran off, watching from a distance to see that he made his way inside. The slave market had been devastated. Not a soul remained. The next stop was the South Slave Farm in the Hook, controlled by slave mistress Grace. Vagabond waited for the right time to strike and found that this farm was already on the rebel farmers' radars. They kept sending squad after squad after them, and even a couple Yabuta outlaws went in to get their share of the action. Vagabond waited all day for Grace to come home, and when she found her sat at a table downstairs, she went in for the bink. Lady Grace was captured. Back at the skin house, they could hear another poor soul being tortured, presumably the slave market master. With acid rain burning her skin, she ran into Savant's house and threw slave mistress Grace in front of him, and then ran to save her own skin. Next stop, Catan, to grab Lord Shiro. She ran right in and hid behind his house for a moment. Then, when she was sure the coast was clear, she grabbed him in his sleep and took him back to the skin bandits. At Tinfister HQ, the Tinfisters had been dealing with a Black Dragon ninja raid, and Silvershade unfortunately lost his leg, so I sent Big Bo to go get him a new one in Flats Lagoon. Vagabond had entered the skin house and decided she wanted to put Lord Shiro in the peeler machine herself. She saw a skinned Mistress Grace being carried away. Once he was securely in the peeler machine, she ran off to get the very last noble she needed to dethrone the Southwest cities, the last one she needed to get before Tengu, Lady Marin, in Drifter's Last. On her way there, she saw that Catan had fallen to the fishmen, which was not ideal, but not terrible. The South Slave Farm, on the other hand, had fallen to the rebel farmers and Empire peasants, which was a great outcome. Kidnapping Lady Marin turned out to be pretty simple, and it was all almost over from here. Off to the skin house. Then she had one more goal to accomplish before she could get Tengu. As she made her way north, I checked on the map and saw what was supposed to be a Holy Nation assault on their way to the base. They were almost there when they just vanished. Then a second assault seemed to just turn around. As another assault made their approach, they seemed to just stop. So I went into Freecam to figure out what the fuck was going on here, and was shocked to find High Inquisitor Seda taking a relaxing dip in the pond outside our base. No armies, just Seda. And I had been starting to think it, but it was right around here that really confirmed in my mind that my save was having a stroke. Seda eventually made his way over to the base and beat the ever-loving shit out of the Tinfisters. Things were looking grim as the team lay unconscious on the ground, and the anti-slavers were of no help. But then, Seda got distracted by a bone dog on the outskirts of town and just ran back and forth chasing it. Once the bone dog dragged him a bit too close to the gate, then it was on. Everyone ganged up on him and he got knocked out cold. So I thought it was fitting to just throw him in one of our prison cages. We hadn't intended on starting on the Holy Nation's dismantling just yet, but if they were going to put in some of the work for us, then why not? We were back at the vault. All the talk about Luquin earlier gave Vagabond the feeling that he truly deserved to be the final chess piece to knock out the king. And, like a good creator, I was taking some cinematic shots. When I saw this guard warn someone not to approach. Out of curiosity, I checked to see who he was talking to, and it was none other than Yabuta of the Sands. Like, what the fuck, dude? I worked very hard to make sure you got out of this exact place alive, just for you to run right past it being tailed by some fucking dust bandits? Yep, game is having a stroke. Anyways, night came and Vagabond made her way inside very carefully. She hid in the corner until just the right time. When the coast was clear, she handed him a sword, picked his shackles, picked his cage, and released him. She'd make sure he got out of here safely. In no time, he was knocked out by the guards, so she picked him up just as she had done with Yabuta and ran as fast as she could away from here. When they got a safe distance, she put him down and healed him, then carried him all the way home. It had been so long since Vagabond was home. She didn't know why High Inquisitor Seda was naked in her prison cage. She didn't know Igor didn't die here, and the team didn't know that she also wasn't responsible for his death. She didn't know Tin Fist lived here now, much less had chosen the weapon of a Neanderthal. The team didn't know anything Vagabond had been up to. All they knew was that the nobles had been vanishing ever since she left. Luquin finally woke up and, much like Yabuta of the Sands, instantly ran away. He looted the dead United Cities hunters and chose to dress as them. And Vagabond followed him as he just jogged and jogged and jogged until he finally decided that the border of Shem and the swamp was the perfect place to jog back and forth. No recruitment dialogue, no conversation at all. Apparently, Luquin decided that the only symbol he wanted to represent was cardio. So, Vagabond decided right then and there that if the desert wanted a hero ninja, and if the Empire feared a monster-slaying monster, she was the one for the job. We haven't met yet, but I could see you're looking uncomfortable. Don't worry, I have somewhere better in mind for you. My friend Mal here, she's going to see that you are treated the way a shit stain like you deserves. Who am I? I'm Narco, bitch. There was only one target left to burn this whole shit they call the United Cities to the ground. It all led to this moment. Vagabond was here for the Emperor, a man called Tengu. She'd wait outside the capital city of Heft until night came. With over 110,000 cats on her head, the stakes were too high if she were caught. When darkness fell, she ran right inside, the guards completely oblivious to her. There he was, sound asleep, making it way too easy for Vagabond. She cautiously, yet confidently, ran up the stairs and in one fell swoop, snatched him up out of bed. This was it. She had Tengu in her clutches now. But Tengu is the Emperor. He couldn't go the ways of the common nobles, to cannibals or skin bandits. Oh no, he needed something special, something poetic. She would take him south, into the Ashlands, to meet the exiled emperor, Catlon. But the road to Catlon was not an easy journey. Her first encounter was with a group of bounty hunters who wanted nothing more than to get the sweet reward for her imprisonment. She was able to easily outrun them, even though the light of day, as well as her encumbrance from carrying Tengu's heft, were hindering her ability to sneak to her fullest capacity. As she neared Hang and Trader's Edge, she could hear the battle cries emanating from inside. During the first uprising, many peasants and farmers lost their lives. Now, with the help of trained rebel swordsmen and anti-slaver ninjas, the few samurai that remained didn't stand a chance. Trader's Edge could now belong to free people. Whether Yoshinaga was alive and in hiding, or dead in the desert, no longer mattered. The citizens could finally survive in safety, no longer under the oppressive thumb of their leaders. Signs of Vagabond's triumphs were scattered all along her way to the Ashlands, as if she was taking Tengu on a tour of her destruction. The long pilgrimage to Catlon's exile gave Vagabond far too much time to think about the journey that led to this moment. Everything had been leading up to this. Getting her ass handed to her in Squin, teaming up with the anti-slavers, accidentally starting a bandit fight club. Then, the darker chapters of her history. Kidnappings, uprisings, freeing Yabuta and Luquin from Tengu's vault, nobles escaping her prisons, causing her to make decisions any undisturbed human would never entertain. the death of a friend. All of that, and somehow, going from a random drifter with a bounty on her head to a mysterious, legendary desert ninja whispered about in bars. Vagabond did have a lot to think about on her expedition south. The biggest question on her mind, however, was what was it all for? Certainly for the good of the citizens, right? Even though now many of them were homeless. Maybe Vagabond really was a terrorist. Exactly what her enemies had labeled her, leaving nothing but chaos and fear in her wake. But maybe she could make something incredible from the ashes of her devastation. As she entered Stobe's Gamble, she passed the once ruin-free settlement and found that the anti-slavers were now inhabiting it and had rebuilt it. That sight sparked hope that rebuilding would be possible. As she continued through Stobe's Gamble, she encountered the next danger of the trip, as she ran right through a squad of skeleton bandits who were eager to turn the Emperor himself into a skeleton, like them. She ditched most of them, but couldn't lose this one straggler who ended up getting her a couple times real good in the chest. But she was determined to continue. The journey could not end at the hands of some racially confused hooligan. Worse yet, she'd run out of food and now the hunger was starting to become an issue. With each step, she'd get hungrier and therefore slower. Eventually, she made it to an abandoned UC outpost and dove inside, and was finally in the clear and able to heal herself. She looked for any signs of food left over, but it was bone dry. So she pressed onward. The next peril was exposure to acid rain as she passed her old friends the Skin Bandits in Sonora's Dark. She survived, and as she crossed the border into the Ashlands, she'd thought she'd found a moment of relief. But that's when she was immediately hit with a poison gas cloud, causing her lungs to heave in pain and suffocation. She did not come all this way to be taken out by a fart. The threats were far from behind her. She was becoming seriously slowed down. The hunger, the elements, the encumbrance were all taking its toll on her, and now the effects were obvious. But she'd come this far. There was no going back. She was so weak. But the light at the end of the tunnel, which was by far the greatest hazard yet, was nearing as she approached the exile of the Mad Emperor. She couldn't handle the hindrance to her speed anymore, so she dropped everything she had looted off the nobles. She was now in the home of the Second Empire. There was only one way to Katlan. Through. She was safe until she got about halfway through, but thanks to her earlier littering, she had enough speed to run past all the Second Empire soldiers. They were probably alerted by Tengu's flamboyantly colorful robes contrasting against the desaturated environment they were accustomed to. Straight to the throne of the exiled emperor himself. A journey that had started with a nobody drifter, with nothing but a huge bounty on her head and a Meitu sword she immediately lost, and somehow ended here, face to face with the last emperor, with the current one slung over her shoulder. Vagabond would not leave empty-handed. Long ago, she'd lost her Meitu sword, so it seemed fair that Tengu donated a replacement. Now it was time to make a speedy escape. She'd be faster now that she dropped Big Boy. But the hunger was still growing in the background. As much as she'd love to stick around and watch Katlan strike Tengu down, her life was still on the line. As she ran, she could hear Katlan explaining the faults of humanity, and then a screech. Now it was time to go home, but the pains of hunger were becoming more than a mere annoyance. Luckily, her stealth was enough to get the exiles of the Second Empire to turn around. As she once again entered Sonora's Dark, the acid rain hit her skin like balls of fire. She passed the headquarters of the Skin Bandits, and she was reminded of the crimes against humanity she partook in to accomplish her ill-gotten gains. Then she passed Flat's Lagoon, and thought about stopping for food, but she was so close to home, there was no time to waste. As she crossed through the bottom edge of Venge, she found anti-slaver allies patrolling. They recognized her immediately, wanted in on the action, and they could see she was reaching starvation, so they handed her ration packs. The world Vagabond had created was now bringing her the aid she needed. It was the last boost of hope she needed to return home. She finally made her long-awaited return, exhausted, but now her hunger was simply to finish what she started and help the world which helped her when she needed it. The destruction had truly been the easy part. Rebuilding will be the hard part. Thanks for watching my little story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to subscribe, leave a like or a comment, and now for a glimpse of what happens in Season 2.